Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What if the breakthrough you've been praying for, searching for, waiting for was not out there somewhere, but inside of you right now? Because here's the truth. Your success doesn't begin with your boss. It doesn't begin with the economy. It doesn't begin with your friends or your family. Your success begins with you. If you truly want to understand why so many people start strong but finish weak, it comes down to this simple principle. Success starts with identity, not activity. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you seen someone get fired up, motivated, and ready to chase their dreams, only to fall back into the same old patterns after a few days or weeks? It's not because they lacked effort, and it's not because they lacked opportunity. It's because they never shifted how they saw themselves. You cannot consistently behave in a way that is out of alignment with the person you believe yourself to be. That's why your identity is the foundation. Here's the hook. If you don't see yourself as successful, you will sabotage every success that comes your way. If you don't believe you're worthy of abundance, you'll push it away even if it shows up in your life. Some people are praying for blessings, but they're rejecting the very opportunities that would lead to those blessings because deep down, they still identify as unworthy, as average, as someone who is just getting by. Activity without identity is like pouring water into a cracked cup. It doesn't matter how much you pour, it will never hold. Now, here's where the transformation begins. You have to understand that identity is not fixed, it is formed. And it is formed by what you believe, what you say, and what you rehearse in your mind every single day. If you tell yourself, I'm not good at business, you've created an identity of struggle. If you tell yourself, I always fail, you've locked yourself into a cycle of defeat. But if you begin to declare, I am capable, I am chosen, I am designed for success, your identity begins to shift. And when your identity shifts, your actions follow. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who wants to get in shape. If they keep saying, I'm lazy, I hate working out, I don't have the discipline, they might force themselves into the gym for a week or two, but eventually they'll quit. Why? Because their activity was out of alignment with their identity. But the moment that same person begins to see themselves as an athlete, as a disciplined person, as someone who takes care of their body, the activity becomes natural. They don't have to force it anymore because it flows from who they believe they are. The same is true for wealth, relationships, leadership, and personal growth. Here's another hook you can hold on to. You will never outperform the picture you carry of yourself in your mind. If you see yourself as average, no matter how hard you work, you'll keep pulling yourself back to average. But if you see yourself as exceptional, if you see yourself as a winner, if you see yourself as someone who was created for greatness, then you will rise to meet that expectation. It's not magic, it's alignment. Your activity will always align with your identity. So let me challenge you. Instead of asking, what should I do to be successful? Start asking, who must I become to be successful? Because the doing flows from the being. The external results are a reflection of the internal identity. You don't need to fake it until you make it. You need to believe it until you become it. When you shift your identity, you don't have to chase success anymore. Success starts chasing you. That's why the most important work you will ever do is not in the marketplace. It's in your mind. It's not about changing your schedule first. It's about changing your self-concept. It's not about forcing new activities. It's about embracing a new identity, once you truly see yourself as the kind of person who wins, who leads, who thrives, your actions will automatically adjust. And when your actions adjust, your results will reflect that transformation. Success does not begin on the outside, it begins on the inside. Excuses are the enemies of execution. And every time you let an excuse live in your mind, it steals the opportunity for results in your life. Excuses feel comforting in the moment because they take the responsibility off of your shoulders, but in reality, they rob you of power. The more excuses you make, the weaker your ability to act becomes. People don't fail because they don't have talent, resources, or opportunities. Most of the time, they fail because they choose excuses instead of execution. And here's the hook you need to remember. An excuse may explain your situation, but it will never change your situation. Think about it. You've heard people say things like, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I wasn't born in the right family, the economy is bad, or I'll start tomorrow. Every single one of those excuses might sound reasonable, but none of them will move you forward. Excuses are like chains that keep you locked to the ground while your potential is trying to take flight. As long as you keep rehearsing those excuses, you'll never see progress. Now, let's be clear, excuses are seductive. They make you feel safe because they allow you to avoid the pain of accountability. If you say, I didn't succeed because I didn't try, then failure doesn't sting as much. But here's the truth. By protecting yourself from the pain of failure, you're guaranteeing yourself the pain of regret. And regret will always hurt longer and deeper than failure ever could. Failure is feedback. Failure gives you information. But excuses leave you stuck in the same place year after year, watching other people live the life you wish you had. Here's another powerful hook. The more excuses you make, the more powerless you become. The more execution you choose, the more powerful you become. That means every time you stop yourself mid-excuse and decide to act anyway, you build strength. You build momentum. You prove to yourself that you are not a prisoner of your circumstances. You are a master of your choices. Execution is not about waiting for perfect conditions. It's about taking imperfect action in imperfect conditions until you create the life you desire. Let me give you a picture to lock this in. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. One says, I can't climb because I don't have the right shoes, I don't have the right weather, I don't have enough experience. The other says, I may not have the perfect conditions, but I'm going to start climbing with what I have. 10 years later, the first person is still at the bottom of the mountain, repeating the same excuses, while the second person is standing at the top, looking at a view the first will never see. The difference was not ability, it was execution. Every time you lean on excuses, you weaken your faith in yourself. You teach your brain that you cannot trust your own word. But when you execute, even in the smallest ways, you strengthen your confidence. You teach yourself that you are someone who does what they say they will do. That identity shift from excuse maker to executor changes everything about your future. So here's the challenge. The next time you hear yourself say, I can't because, stop immediately and replace it with, how can I? That simple shift turns obstacles into opportunities. It moves you from a place of limitation to a place of possibility. Excuses keep you blind to solutions, but execution opens your eyes to what is truly possible. You don't have to be perfect to execute. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin. The only thing you must do is stop letting excuses dictate your destiny. Because the truth is this, Your dream doesn't care about your excuses. Your goals don't care about your excuses. And your future doesn't care about your excuses. What matters is what you do in spite of them. Execution is the only way forward. And every time you choose it over excuses, you move one step closer to the life you were created to live. Hope is powerful, but hope alone will not change your life. Habits are stronger than hopes because habits shape your daily reality, while hope only paints the picture of what could be. Hope gives you inspiration, but habits give you transformation. You can hope for better health, better finances, stronger relationships, or greater success, but if your habits are working against you, that hope will become nothing more than a dream that fades over time. Here's the hook you must remember: hope creates the vision, but habits create the victory. Every person alive has hopes and dreams. People hope to be wealthy, hope to be successful, hope to be respected, hope to be healthy. Yet the truth is, very few people actually create the life they hope for. Why? Because hope is passive, but habits are active. You can hope all day, but until you develop habits that align with that hope, you will always fall short. Habits are the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and that bridge is built one decision at a time. Think about this. The small things you do consistently will always outweigh the big things you do occasionally. A person who saves $10 a day will eventually have more wealth than someone who saves $1,000 one time. A person who reads for 20 minutes every day will be more knowledgeable than someone who reads for 10 hours once a year. A person who exercises 3 times a week will build more strength and stamina than someone who goes to the gym one day, destroys themselves with a 5-hour workout, and never goes back. Consistency beats intensity when it comes to habits. And this is where most people lose. They get excited by the big burst of effort, but fail to commit to the small daily disciplines that build success. Here's another hook that should stick with you. You don't decide your future, you decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. Every day you are either reinforcing the habits that keep you average or building the habits that elevate you to excellence. The person you will become in 5 years is already being shaped today by the habits you are practicing. That should both inspire you and convict you, because it means the power is in your hands right now. Now let's go deeper. Habits are not just actions. They are agreements you've made with yourself. If you have a habit of hitting snooze, you've agreed with yourself that extra comfort is more important than extra progress. If you have a habit of overspending, you've agreed with yourself that short-term pleasure is more important than long-term stability. But when you begin to change those agreements, you change your habits. And when you change your habits, you change your destiny. The secret is to align your habits with your hopes. Don't just dream of success. Create daily rituals that move you toward it. Don't just hope to become healthier. Build eating and exercise habits that support that outcome. Don't just hope for financial freedom. Establish saving and investing habits that make it inevitable. The alignment of habits with hopes is where transformation happens. When your habits and your hopes are pulling in the same direction, your success becomes unstoppable. And let me leave you with this picture. Imagine your hope is a compass pointing you north, but your habits are your footsteps. No matter how strong the compass, if your footsteps are moving south, you will never reach your destination. But if your habits are aligned with the direction of your hope, every single step takes you closer to your vision. That's the power of habits. They carry your hope from imagination into manifestation. Everybody has a dream, but not everybody has the discipline to bring it to life. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and destiny, and without that bridge, your dream remains an illusion. You can envision success. You can speak about success. You can even pray for success, but if you are not willing to pay the price of discipline, success will remain out of reach. Dreams feel exciting because they live in your imagination, but discipline is where those dreams are tested. And here's the hook you need to remember: a dream without discipline is just a wish, but a dream with discipline becomes inevitable. Think about the difference between those who achieve extraordinary success and those who spend their lives talking about what they could have or should have done. It's not talent alone. It's not intelligence alone. It's discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's the willingness to stay focused when distractions come, to stay consistent when obstacles appear, and to stay committed when comfort is calling your name. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful because it converts effort into results. You see, discipline is not about denying yourself joy. It's about delaying gratification long enough to experience a greater reward. A person with no discipline chases comfort in the moment and loses growth in the long term. But a person with discipline is willing to endure short-term discomfort for long-term transformation. The student who disciplines themselves to study when others are partying builds a future others will envy. The entrepreneur who disciplines themselves to reinvest profits instead of spending recklessly creates financial freedom. The athlete who disciplines themselves to train daily even when tired becomes a champion when the lights are on. Here's another hook. Discipline turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. But if you are the most disciplined, you will eventually rise above those who had more advantages but lacked consistency. Talent may open a door, but discipline is what keeps you inside the room. Discipline outlasts motivation because motivation comes and goes, but discipline builds momentum that carries you even when you don't feel like moving. Let me paint this picture for you. Imagine two bridges. One is beautifully designed but half built. The other is simple but fully constructed. Which one can carry you across? The second one. Dreams without discipline are like half-built bridges. They look impressive in conversation, but they don't take you anywhere. Discipline completes the structure so you can walk across from vision to reality. Now let's talk about the internal battle. Every day, your comfort zone and your destiny are at war, and discipline is the deciding factor. Comfort whispers, stay where you are, do it tomorrow, take it easy. Destiny whispers, push forward, stay focused, do it now. The voice you obey is the future you create. Discipline chooses destiny over comfort, knowing that comfort is temporary, but destiny is eternal. This is why some people spend their whole lives wishing, while others spend their lives winning. Winners don't have fewer temptations. They just choose discipline over distraction more often. They understand that discipline is not punishment. It is alignment. It aligns your daily actions with your ultimate vision. It aligns who you are with who you are becoming. And when that alignment happens, your dream stops being a possibility and becomes a reality. So the challenge is simple. Are you willing to cross the bridge? Are you willing to embrace discipline not as a burden, but as a blessing? Because the moment you do, you unlock the secret to turning every dream in your heart into destiny in your hands. That is the power of discipline, and it is the difference between a life of what if and a life of I did it. Every challenge you face is not there to destroy you. It is there to develop you. Challenges are not obstacles, they are opportunities. And the moment you begin to see them that way, everything about your life changes. Most people spend their energy trying to avoid problems, but the truth is, problems are proof that you're moving. The only people with no challenges are the people doing nothing, attempting nothing, and becoming nothing. The presence of a challenge in your life is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you are on the path to growth. And here's a hook that will shift your perspective. The bigger the challenge, the greater the opportunity hidden inside it. Think about some of the greatest stories of success. Behind every one of them, there was a season of challenge that looked impossible. The business owner who lost everything before building a company that now changes lives. The athlete who was told they weren't good enough, only to rise to the top of their sport. The student who grew up with no resources, no connections, and no advantages, yet used those very hardships as fuel to build a future of abundance. The common thread is not the absence of challenge, but the decision to see the challenge as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. The problem is that most people waste challenges by complaining about them instead of learning from them. They say, "Why is this happening to me?" When the real question should be, what is this trying to teach me? Challenges carry lessons that comfort will never give you. Comfort teaches you how to stay the same, but challenge teaches you how to expand, adapt, and evolve. Comfort says, stay where it's safe, but challenge says, grow where it's hard. If you want to unlock the highest version of yourself, you cannot run from challenges. You must rise to meet them. Here's another powerful hook. Challenges reveal strengths you didn't know you had. When life pushes you to the edge, when it feels like the pressure is too much, that's when you discover what you are truly capable of. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles are built by resistance. Leaders are made through adversity. Every challenge is shaping you for something greater if you allow it to. The question is, will you see the pressure as punishment or as preparation? Let me give you an image to lock this in. Imagine a seed placed in the soil. It's dark, it's tight, and it feels like the seed has been buried. But in reality, it hasn't been buried, it has been planted. The pressure of the soil and the challenge of breaking through the dirt are exactly what activate the seed's potential. Without that challenge, the seed would never become a tree. Your challenges are not burying you, they are planning you for something greater. So the key is to stop running from difficulty and start using it. That doesn't mean challenges will feel comfortable. It doesn't mean they will be easy. But it does mean they can be meaningful if you choose to see them differently. Every setback contains a setup for a comeback. Every problem hides a possibility. Every trial carries a treasure for the one willing to dig deep enough to find it. When you begin to live with that perspective, challenges no longer intimidate you. They energize you. They remind you that life is shaping you for something beyond where you are right now. The storm you're in today may feel overwhelming, but storms don't last forever. And when the skies clear, you'll realize the storm was not there to break you. It was there to build you. The obstacle you are facing is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a stronger, wiser, and more prepared version of you. Your future is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for your decision. Too many people spend their lives wishing, hoping, and waiting for something to happen when the truth is nothing changes until you decide. Success does not respond to intentions. It responds to decisions. You can intend to get healthier. You can intend to start that business. You can intend to become disciplined. But until you decide that nothing will stop you, your life will remain exactly the same. And here's the hook you cannot forget. Indecision delays destiny, but decision activates it. Every major breakthrough in history, every personal transformation, every success story begins at the exact moment someone made a firm decision. They drew a line in the sand and said, I will not go back to who I used to be. I will move forward no matter the cost. Decision is the doorway to destiny, but many people never walk through that doorway because they're waiting for clarity, waiting for certainty, waiting for conditions to be perfect. The problem is perfection never arrives. Conditions never align exactly the way you want them to. Waiting keeps you stuck, but deciding sets you free. Think about this truth: life does not give you what you want. It gives you what you're willing to decide for. A decision is not just a thought, it is a commitment. When you decide, you eliminate other options. You close the door on excuses. You silence the noise of doubt, and you align your actions with your vision. A weak decision says, I'll try. A strong decision says, I will. The difference between those two words determines whether your dream stays a dream or becomes reality. Here's another hook. Every time you postpone a decision, you extend your delay. Delay feels safe because it allows you to avoid risk, but in reality, it robs you of opportunity. While you're waiting, someone else is deciding. While you're hesitating, someone else is executing. While you're questioning, someone else is building. Success doesn't wait for the hesitant. It rewards the decisive. Let's make it practical. A person who decides to wake up an hour earlier every day to work on their goals will see progress that the undecided person never will. A person who decides to live with financial discipline and invest consistently will build wealth that the undecided person only talks about. A person who decides to commit fully to their calling will experience fulfillment that the undecided person keeps searching for. The decision itself is the catalyst. It doesn't mean the path will be easy, but it means the path has begun. Decisions are powerful because they change your identity. When you decide to act, you are no longer the same person you were before that decision. You become someone who moves, someone who creates, someone who takes ownership. You shift from being a spectator of life to being a participant in your own destiny. And the more you practice decisive living, the more natural it becomes. Picture this: standing at a crossroads, one path marked someday and the other marked today. Most people wander toward someday, telling themselves they'll take action when it feels right, when they have more time, when things are easier. But someday is an illusion. It doesn't exist. The only real path is today. The person who chooses today experiences growth, opportunity, and transformation. The person who chooses someday experiences regret. Your future is shaped not by the dreams you hold in your heart, but by the decisions you make with your hands and feet. Each decision is a brushstroke painting the picture of your destiny. Decide with boldness, decide with faith, and decide with urgency. Because the life you desire is not waiting for better circumstances. It is waiting for you to make the decision to claim it.